It's June 11th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a city reduced to ashes, an artist nearly trapped inside his own performance, and a prison escape that still refuses to give up its secrets. Let's begin. On June 11th, 1805, the city of Detroit was almost erased. It began on a sunny morning with one careless spark. Around 10 o'clock, a baker's pipe is said to have set fire to a nearby barn. At first it looked like an ordinary blaze, but Detroit was a wooden frontier town, packed tightly together, and the wind was already moving. Flames leapt from building to building, swallowing homes, shops, barns, fences, and streets. Families ran towards the riverfront and open fields. Within hours, nearly everything they knew was gone. By the time the fire burnt out, almost the entire settlement had been reduced to ash. Out of roughly 600 residents, not a single person was reported dead. Because the fire began in daylight, people were awake and they saw the danger coming. They had enough time to escape before Detroit disappeared behind them. The destruction destroyed nearly half a century of growth, but behind it also left a blank canvas. Judge Augustus Woodward later imagined a new city of wide avenues and grand public spaces. And from the ashes came Detroit's haunting motto: "We hope for better things, it will rise from the ashes." A whole city reduced to ash and not one life lost. Do you call that luck or something else? On June 11, 1936, Salvador Dalí walked into a London art gallery dressed like a man about to descend into another world. It was the opening of an international Surrealist exhibition, and Dalí wanted his lecture to feel impossible to forget. So he arrived in a heavy, deep-sea diving suit, with weighted boots, brass helmet, 2 hounds on a leash, and a billiards cue in his hand. To the crowd, it was strange, brilliant, and perfectly surreal. Dalí said the suit represented his plunge into the human subconscious, and as he began to speak, the sealed helmet cut off his air. Inside the brass and glass, Dalí started to gasp, waving his arms and struggling to breathe. The audience only laughed. They thought it was part of the show. On stage, Dalí was actually suffocating. A poet realized something was wrong and rushed forward and fought to unscrew the heavy helmet before Dalí collapsed. At last, the helmet came loose, and Dalí caught his breath. And somehow he continued the lecture. Then, in true surreal fashion, he showed every slide upside down. When performance art looks too convincing, how do you know when somebody's actually in danger? On June 11, 1962, 3 men vanished from the most feared prison in America. Alcatraz sat in the middle of the San Francisco Bay, surrounded by freezing water and brutal currents. Inside the prison, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin had been working in secret for months. Night after night, they scraped through the walls of their cells using stolen tools and sharpened spoons. In their bed, they left papier-mâché heads, painted with real hair from the prison's barbershop. While Alcatraz slept, they crawled through the walls and climbed into the darkness. Waiting for them was a raft made from raincoats, and by morning, the guards found the dummy heads staring back from their pillows, and the men were gone. The FBI later concluded they probably drowned in the cold, violent bay, but no bodies were ever found, and no final proof. Then came the rumors. Unsigned postcards, family claims, and a mysterious photograph that showed the Anglin brothers alive later in South America. The FBI closed the case, but the U.S. Marshals never did. More than 60 years later, the warrants are still open. No bodies, no proof, just 3 empty cells and dummy heads staring back from the beds. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.